My friends, good day. There's new information about AI and it's in line with the previous one. I assure you, I'm not just looking for information that confirms a bias or anything like that. I'm very open minded about these things. But there is still an underlying trend regarding artificial intelligence, which is extremely worrying. So, the latest news comes from the United Kingdom, the British state, the British state. You should know one thing, it has a lot of flaws. The British administration, in particular, has a lot of flaws. That's clear. I criticize it quite often. On the other hand, however, it has internationally recognized expertise in tech in everything related to information technology management systems. By the way, there's a standard called Information Technology Infrastructure Library, and today it's at version 4. A lot of people have Information Technology Infrastructure Library, the Information Technology Infrastructure Library Foundation certification. I recommend it to you, by the way. It's a very respected certification in the business world, and you can literally prepare for it. In 3 days, of course, if you're very motivated, in 3 days, if you take it slow, in 15. But basically, it's a certification that looks very good on a resume, that opens your eyes to a number of organizational aspects of companies and their processes. And then it allows you to acquire the vocabulary you need to understand a number of things. Information Technology Infrastructure Library. Who created it? It was created by the British administration, so it's used by millions of companies around the world, and it comes from the British administration. So they really have highly recognized expertise in this field. So here's what they did. They did a study based on Copilot. So they took, because they have a subscription with Microsoft, they took 1,000 licenses of the artificial intelligence that comes with the Microsoft offer, which is Copilot. They took 1,000 licenses and they took about 700 volunteer employees, and they took 300 others who were designated as volunteers. So we're talking about thousands of users in total. And then they gave them Copilot. They were supposed to use it in their work, and the data would be captured to allow for observation. Do we have a positive impact? Do we have a productivity gain with the use of AI in the administration? And the result, my friends, is quite frightening. But before I talk to you about the results of AI, and a lot of people are asking themselves the question, is AI going to take my job, all that? I'd like to point out the link that's attached there under the video and in the description from our partner. Keylose helps people find a job or switch from one job to another. If you're fed up with your job, check out Keylose. It's based in France. In certain conditions, their support is covered by France Travail. Contact them on my behalf. And generally, the people I've sent to them were very happy. Now, what's the outcome of this story? Well, the result, I almost want to say, unsurprisingly, given what we have today, is that they didn't notice any increase in productivity. There wasn't, among the people who used AI compared to those who didn't, they didn't really have any increase. So I told you a little bit about the details for the people who were using AI. We found that the emails were generally of better quality, were written a bit faster, there were fewer mistakes, all that written a bit faster. Because these are emails that fundamentally are not generated by artificial intelligence. You're not going to say, reply to this client, no, you'll have to give them the information. And often you have to go look for this data in a portal, you have to call to get it and all that. So it's not the email, it's not just text, it's not literature. The email has to contain tangible, objective elements. So, well, whether you use AI or not, you have to go get them. That's the first point. So that's why those who replied to emails using Copilot answered, let's say, a bit faster than the others, but not excessively faster. Now, here's the other problem. The problem is that those who used Copilot to process information that was in Excel, they provided Excel files and all that. To generate results using spreadsheets, well, those people took more time. And why? Because the results provided by Copilot were very often either wrong or inaccurate. So when you take the time to give this to Copilot, to prompt it, to tell it, to get feedback, to analyze it, to find mistakes, and to correct everything, well, it actually takes more time than someone who didn't use AI and just went straight to a manual analysis of the Excel file. Same thing, everything related to PowerPoint, the PowerPoint presentations that were generated by AI were created more quickly. But they had so many mistakes, so many errors that it took a lot of time to correct them. And all of that. So you see that all things considered, they found that there was no productivity gain within the administration. So if you remember the last video, for those who haven't watched it, I talked about a study from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which was published in Fortune, in Entrepreneur, and in many other very reputable sources. Well, this study showed that 95% of implementation projects in companies gave no return on investment and were failures. That means a lot of money is spent, and very often it was actually driven by, how should I say, by greed. We think we're going to lay off a certain number of people and replace them all with AI. In the end, these people are laid off, and we end up with an AI that tells us nonsense. When you look at it, the return on investment is zero. It's actually even negative because you don't even get your money back. So you see, it's something quite interesting because we have this, and very often that's what happens. In tech, we have this gap between the overhyped promises, we have the hype promises and all that, stratospheric promises. In the end, in execution, it's not the same thing. I'll just give you an example from my personal experience with an AI I canceled my subscription to today called Claude. So I created articles. So I needed an AI to help me search for information. So basically, one that would quote unquote Google for me, so use a lot of document databases and all that to help me. So I needed an assistant somehow, and I thought Claude could help me. So I got a paid subscription, and here's what I noticed. Every time I asked it to do a search for me, it would respond with a value judgment by telling me, because I do studies and research that are contradictory. If an administration says something, if Macron says something, etc., I want to check and validate what he said, whether it's true or not, except that Claude assumes that everything said by a company or an administration, you say that's the truth, that's the source of truth. And then he becomes very peremptory, very aggressive, and he doesn't look any further as long as it was said by an authority. For him, that's it, that's the line, it stops there. I canceled my subscription, and I hope they'll go to the authorities they defend to try to get some money. Because from the user's point of view, it's completely useless. Search engines, on the other hand, have this advantage. I can look up anything. They provide me with information. I can search. The earth is flat. The search engine isn't going to make value judgments. I don't actually believe the earth is flat, but you get it. If I look up something as wild as that, it will give me flat earth websites with their theories and everything, whereas AI today allows itself to make value judgments. It lectures you, doesn't it? It used to lecture you, AI in a context, for example, of cars from Volkswagen and other German companies that had a cheating system on emissions. For Claude, that wouldn't have existed. Today, of course, it's in its database, but back then you wouldn't have been able to do research in that way. Because no, it's forbidden, so there you go, I'm telling you. And for development, for writing code, I noticed with Claude or with ChatGPT or others, I noticed the same pattern. The pattern is as follows. When I develop by hand, I write the code, then I test it. I realize there's a syntax error. I forget a semicolon somewhere or something else. I look, I fix it, and I continue. So I move forward, maybe slowly, but I move forward for sure. With AI, it goes like this. I ask it to write some code for me. I explain what I want. It thinks for 30 seconds, and then it spits out a nice block of code. It's great, so I move forward quickly. When I don't run it, there are a lot of errors. So what do I do then? Since it's not my own code, it's very complicated for me to fix it. For me, reading it line by line, understanding the logic and all that, and fixing it will take me almost as much time as writing it myself, from A to Z. So I have to give it back to him, explain the errors to him, and ask him to fix them. So he'll spit out another one, I'll test it again, there are still errors, and so on. And there were times, for example, when I tackled a piece of code that might have taken me personally maybe 8 hours to type out. And then I spent 2 days with the AI doing the same thing. And what's more, the problem is the further you go with the AI, the more you start thinking, oh, maybe I should have started from scratch. The issue is it's too late. You've already spent hours with the AI and have to continue. Starting over would just waste your time further. So from time to time, and here I agree, what the British administration found is that yes, sometimes I can get lucky and a piece of code that would have taken me an hour, maybe I get it in 5 minutes. That can happen. Yes, it's true. I can save 5 minutes and say, wow, that's great. Except that this experience of saving a lot of time all at once, unfortunately, can't be generalized. That means, yes, it's true, I can do it, but that's just, let's say, a stroke of luck. But the next day with something else, I might end up losing hours, getting frustrated, all that. So, yeah, it's not completely figured out yet. Maybe for some individuals, for certain use cases, for certain people. And of course, it's like with all tech hypes, yes, the hypes that come out have a certain validity within a certain scope. But the problem is that since they want to sell as much as possible, well, what do? They say it's universal. It has to go everywhere. It has to go in cars, in refrigerators, in microwaves, etc. And then it will help everyone. The reality is it's not that simple. There you go, my friends. So I'll leave you now. I'll remind you of the link for KLUs. They can really change career paths in a positive way, of course. And then we'll see each other in the next video. See you very soon.